Okay, let's dive in. Sometimes events, things happening out there, they can suddenly feel very close to home, impacting infrastructure, how we get around, that sort of thing. And today, we're doing a deep dive focusing on one specific report that kind of touches on that. It's an article from the Moscow Times, dated June 2nd, 2025, and it covers reported overnight Ukrainian drone attacks inside Russia. So our mission really is pretty sharp. We want to unpack just this report. What are the key bits of information it gives us about the impacts it mentions?
Yeah, this is really tailored so you can quickly grasp what this specific source is highlighting.
Exactly. And what's interesting, I think, about this particular Moscow Times piece is its focus. Like you said, it doesn't really broaden out into the bigger geopolitical picture of the reported attacks. It
Yeah.
seems to stick to highlighting some specific immediate effects that were mentioned.
Right. It really zooms in, doesn't it, to the ground level stuff, or at least what's reported in the article. And based on this report, it looks like there were two main impacts it focused on. That's right. First, the article mentions reports that these attacks sparked fires. So that points to a pretty direct physical consequence, impacting actual locations.
Fires. Okay. Yeah, that's very tangible. Often disruptive, if that's what was reported. And what
Yeah.
was the other reported impact the source detailed?
Well, the report also states that the attacks reportedly disrupted highway traffic.
Oh,
So
okay.
that highlights a different sort of effect, doesn't it? It's more about mobility, maybe supply lines,
Daily commutes, perhaps.
potentially, yeah, things that affect people's movement.
Okay, so just pulling directly from this one source.
Huh.
The Moscow Times, June 2nd, 2025. The article reports these overnight drone attacks reportedly caused, one, fires,
Uh-huh.
and two, disrupted highway traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Those seem to be the specific consequences that this particular source chose to really emphasize.
Yeah. And if you think about why a specific report might choose to highlight those things, fires and traffic issues, it maybe gives us a little insight into the article's angle, perhaps. It seems to be focusing on that immediate civil disruption, maybe the logistical side, rather than, say, reporting on military targets or something like that.
That makes sense.
That choice of focus just within the source itself, that's kind of a key nugget, isn't it, about how this event is being presented in this report.
It really is. Because fires, well, they speak to physical damage,
Right,
destruction,
right.
while traffic disruption talks more about interrupting the normal flow of life,
Hmm.
movement,
Yeah,
logistics.
precisely. They're quite different, but both impact civilian life in noticeable ways, potentially.
So considering how just one single report, like this one we looked at from the Moscow Times,
Mm-hmm.
how it focuses on these kinds of effects, the
Mm-hmm.
reported fires, the traffic being disrupted,
Mm-hmm.
what does that make you consider about all the different ways, maybe sometimes unexpected ways, that events, even when they're described pretty concisely in a report, can reportedly touch daily life and just movement?